When I started with the Serious Games Institute, one of the first projects that we were involved in is a project called Triage Trainer. And this was developed by a games company whose background is in the entertainment industry. A company called Blitz Games, one of the largest independent games companies they were at that time in the UK, about 200 people. But they had a serious games division, and they got funding for this project to establish the effectiveness of serious games for paramedics. Could serious games, electronic games, be used to provide better training outcomes for paramedics when they're dealing with a situation like this? So, because you don't blow up city centres, in a real world, it's very difficult to simulate this. So, normally paramedics use dummies and mannequins, or they use actors when they simulate a situation like this. So they use their skills in the games industry to create a physical experience in the virtual environment. And the idea was there were these casualties, there were 50, they had two control groups, 50 people learnt by playing the game, the other 50 learnt by traditional methods. The game was designed so it could be used by young, old people, people who play games, people who didn't play games. The idea was you go to a casualty, you have to do all the triage tests correctly, and you have to label them whether they're going to die, whether they're dead, whether they need immediate treatment, and so on. And that's what paramedics have to do in that situation. The result of the project was that they established beyond a reasonable doubt that the people who were using the serious game got better learning outcomes. And the reason why they think that is because the people were more immersed in the game. They really believed they were making a difference. This same company used 3D medical scanners, and they used techniques to link medical data to physical conditions. So they simulated and made a project called Dying Dave, and they simulated someone dying of a head wound over a space of a minute. I won't play the video to you, but even by today's standard, the realism back in 2008 was very good. It was only because they got the skills from the games industry. So these were the processes involved, and apart from the 3D scanning that then produces the head model, bearing in mind that the technology, games technology wasn't advanced in those days, the clever thing they did was to create various points on the avatar's face that allowed by movement of those points to simulate genuine emotions. So they were combining medical data that gave you the corrective medical effects. Another project they were involved in was called Patient Rescue. And the idea behind this was they used artificial intelligence to generate random patients from different ethnicities, different ages, and they could simulate a different medical condition. And the reason why they got involved in this project was, and this is quite frightening, that in the northwest of England, anybody who goes into a hospital to accident and emergency, 10% of those people come out worse than they were when they went in. And it's because they have junior doctors who are not experienced in dealing with these situations. So this project designed to help them to encounter all kinds of patient types in a virtual environment. I think you've seen something like this in the previous presentation. This is a project called Snow World, and the idea was to see if virtual reality and games could help burns patients be able to manage their pain when they have the dressing change. You saw in the previous session there was a little boy having his dressing change. It's the same project, but mainly this was designed for casualties of military operations. And it was all about the flow or the absorption in the game meant they didn't feel the pain. This is another project called Remission, which was targeted at children. It's a similar kind of scenario. The children played a game in which they were zapping cancer cells, and it was designed to give them a simple understanding of what was happening in their body. And they were measuring the clinical outcomes hands of these two target groups of young children, ones who played the game, ones who didn't. And what they discovered was that playing the game did have a positive impact on medical outcomes, because the main reason is that cancer is such a terrible disease. People who have it often feel helpless and not in control. And it was the playing of the game that helped the children believe that they had more control over the situation. Also been involved in many virtual world simulations of large incidents where you get multiple players in a virtual environment dealing with a disaster. You can see them playing the game there. And apart from the fact that it allows you to create scenarios which are difficult or impossible to simulate in the real world, the point is that by placing virtual cameras in the environment, you get a complete recording of the action, and you can play it back and do a debriefing. And debriefing in games is a very important way of getting effectiveness. Been involved in projects which are designed to create smart e-hospitals, and all of these to me indicate a trend, this trend that I see of the gradual integration and connection between what is physical and what is virtual. And as we come into the age of the Internet of Things and sensor technology, more and more we are able to blend the two worlds together